Hello and welcome back to the garden. We're specifically in the vegetable garden today, and as you just saw, I have just completed another mini project. This is something I've been wanting to do. What it is extra staging space. One of the things that happened last year was I started running short on space here on the potting table, the folding table that's in front of it. Stuff had to get out of the greenhouse because it was getting too hot in the greenhouse, which typically does around the mid to end of May. So stuff had to come out. This year may be no different. It may just start getting too hot in the greenhouse even sooner than that. We'll have to monitor and wait and see. But I needed to stage stuff outside and let it grow on until it was ready to be planted out into the vegetable beds or out into the garden itself someplace. But I was running out of space, and one of the things I did was over by the in-ground bed, by that side, I had put a couple of boards that I had, I think one or two boards on some saw horses, which I'm currently wanting to keep from using because I want to use them on other projects at the moment. And I found these Craftsman saw horses, say that 3 times fast, pretty cheap over on Amazon. And I figured, let me get them, let me get some nice 2x12s, and that should give me, between that, the folding table, and the potting bench, more than enough space to stage all of my plants. And as you can see, the potting bench already is pretty full. Now, some of this stuff will stay on the potting bench, such as the pots, other items such as this half-dead looking pampas grass, that will get planted out in the spring. There's some cuttings, such as, what do we have here? We have a baby gem boxwood here, and I think that's large enough to plant out into... Okay, so I forget where we were, but this baby gem boxwood will be ready to be planted, even though it's still small. I think it'd be ready to be planted out into the garden this year. And there's numerous others. That still doesn't account for all the plants that will be coming out of the greenhouse in the springtime, such as the there's probably going to be, well, I know there's like 30 some odd golden ticket privets that'll be coming out. There's going to be probably about 50 different types of foxgloves. It's going to be at least four different tomato plants. There's a lot of stuff that'll be coming out, and it'll need some place to go. So that's why I put this together today. Just something simple. In a perfect world, I would build a bench, or I've even been playing with the idea of doing some sort of large potting shed, as it were, with great big wide open doors, a row of windows to look out onto the vegetable garden, rose garden, I apologize. That's on the other side of the fence here, the rose garden. It would be 12 foot long, so it would basically be the length of this bench here. Great big opening, 8-foot opening maybe, 2 4-foot wide doors. So I've been sort of playing around with that idea and maybe doing that instead of doing a tool shed. I don't know. And then there's another thought which came to my mind, was maybe doing something more of a lean-to sort of structure, open-sided as it were, open-sided mostly, maybe a sort of a half back just to give it some strength and rigidity, and have that here again with a 12-foot long bench that I could work at, stage plants on, etc., etc. And then maybe, you know, hang a couple of tools off on the side or something. I don't know. These are all ideas and thoughts that are rattling around in my head. Man, one day, if I start hitting some of that sweet, sweet YouTube money, I'll actually make happen. The other thing that you may have noticed is I've put the saw horses on some bricks, and that was basically done because these legs are very thin and spindly, and they will definitely sink into this ground with the weight that I'll be putting on the bench. Right now I've just got pressure treated 2x6s on here, which may seem a bit overkill, but with the heat, humidity, I want these boards to last me a good long time. The weight of the wood is significant enough that if we do get a heavy rain, it would start pushing the legs down into the ground. So the bricks are there to prevent the feet from sinking into the ground. That's what I'm trying to get at. I actually have the same thing here with the potting bench, but I have them sitting on 12x12 pavers, which I need to readjust because they're starting to sink into the ground. In a perfect world, and again, if I had a lot of YouTube money or any YouTube money, I would probably turn around and make, from the greenhouse to the fence here, an entire sort of paver patio. and this way I wouldn't have to worry about things sinking into the ground, and I could have someplace nice to walk, because this area especially, well, a lot of the garden does, but when we get heavy rains, it's just very treacherous to walk on. It's very slippery, it gets very muddy, and it's a nightmare. So again, I would make this an entire paver patio between the greenhouse and that, and have everything, just pots, everything else sitting on that. Now, so far as storage of pots and things like that, right now I have them up against the greenhouse, and I'm thinking about changing that up, because what I'd like to do, maybe this year, maybe next year, is put in a gutter system and a large tub that I could collect water in. And this way, when I want to water plants any time of the year in the greenhouse, I can just dunk my water jug into it, pull it out, go water the plants. I don't have to fill up from a hose or walk all the way over to the house to get from the rain barrel over there. I'll have something right outside the greenhouse. Again, that's why I'm thinking maybe a patio in the future at some point. These are all the things that are rattling around in my head. Now, I did have a row of pallets here, couldn't tell from the beginning, and I took them all up. Most of them were half rotted, again, because of the ground being so wet. And the reason I have the pallets is there so I can put down bags of soil that they then won't sink into the ground, or they won't creepy crawlies going underneath them. When I first moved down here and I started gardening, if you go back and watch those first year videos, when I was moving around bags of stuff, there would be wolf spiders, large wolf, all right, maybe not that large, but let's say 2 to 3 inches across easily, wolf spiders that were underneath bags, and it was pretty icky. So if I put it up on pallets, it prevents a lot of that from happening, which is great. I also forgot to mention that I purchased a new shade cloth for this year. So the shade cloth will start on the far side of the greenhouse, go over the top of the greenhouse, but then will come all the way out to about here-ish. And then it will be tied to a series of poles. You can maybe see one in the back, but that will provide shade as well for this space, so that a lot of these plants don't get scorched in the sun, especially the young seedlings. They won't get scorched in the sunlight. So that's really all I'm doing today in this video. If you guys have any questions, comments, suggestions, etc., please leave them below. Love to hear from you. As I'm shooting this, Sophie is inside spending some quality time with my wife, so I'm not going to disturb her. So for all you Sophie fans, sorry, no Sophie today. Maybe next video. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.